Films based on games don't work. They have almost never worked. It also doesn't really work going the other way. We need to stop this. The Borderlands film, as much as I want it to be good, it ain't gonna be, is it? Come on. We have all played Far Cry 3. We've all heard Vass. We've all heard what he said. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. They keep making films based on games, and they are always bad. When was the last good one? The closest thing to a good one we have was the Mario film. Actually, tell a lie. There are 2 really good game films, movie films, games, you know what I mean, that I can think of, and it's the Sonic films. They are great. I'm looking forward to Sonic 3. Ignore everything I'm saying in this video when it comes to that franchise. But for the most part, most game franchises, just leave them alone. They don't work as films. Like, let's just go through a few, shall we? Okay, so we've got the Max Payne film with Mark Wahlberg, awful. Pixels, awful. The Resident Evil films, except for the first one, mostly awful. Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time was an awful film. Good lord, we've... The Uncharted film. I'd forgot that even happened, and that had Tom Holland and also Mark Wahlberg in. Just stop. There are not enough good films out these days. Not anymore. Everything is either pandering to the people that are never going to see the film, looking at you, Madame Web, or just there's no effort put in anymore. Like, guys, I'm looking at this list, and Angry Birds? Didn't know there was a film based on that. Was it any good? I doubt it. Five Nights at Freddy's? You know, I watched that. It wasn't for me because I've not played the games, but from what I hear, the people that played the games liked it, so maybe fair enough on that front. I think that horror games typically lend themselves to being films a little bit better because they're usually smaller, self-contained stories in the first place. But these days, games themselves are trying to be films. It's a common complaint in a lot of games that there isn't much gameplay in games these days. Every game becomes a walking simulator, even games that were sequels to very gamey games. We're looking at you, God of War. Like, I love the God of War games, the Ragnarok in 2018, but when people talk about walking simulators, God of War's got a lot of sections like that. I'm looking at you, Ironwood in Ragnarok. God, I'm looking at this list of movie games or game movies, whatever, and there's some that I don't remember. I didn't watch them. Assassin's Creed from 2016, I know that flopped. They definitely wanted a franchise out of that. Come on, you know full well anything Assassin's Creed related was supposed to be a whole franchise. They probably wanted a multiverse where at some point all the different assassins from the film franchises would have come together. It's not gonna work. You know what makes it worse is that there are so many games that could work out decently well as films if put together properly. For example, Resident Evil 1, just the game. If you put that as a standalone film, there's a house, a chopper goes down, these guys end up in a house, the house is full of zombies, you need to figure out why and navigate around, and it's never safe, and you could make a really scary, claustrophobic sort of atmospheric film based around Resident Evil 1, but it's never going to happen. The closest thing was the original Resident Evil 1 film with Mila Jovovich. The first one was, you know what, the first one, fair enough, I liked it. To be fair, I like them all, but they're a bit of a guilty pleasure. I can like something and know that it is objectively still not very good. That's a bit of a problem I have in films in general, to be fair, is I like a lot of films. It happens all the time, really, where I'll watch a film and be like, that was okay, and then I'll go watch the people that I trust review it, and they'll be like, that was shit. I'm like, damn it. God damn it. But if we specifically talk about the Borderlands film, Kevin Hart as Roland, that isn't going to be Roland. That's going to be Kevin Hart playing Kevin Hart like Kevin Hart always does. Jack Black as Claptrap, I bet he'll give it his all, because if there's anything you'll say about Jack Black, it's that he doesn't half-ass things. I feel like he does things that he wants to do versus just things that are going to pay him well. Does that make sense? I do think that the casting of this film is a little bit strange, or at least the setup of the film as well. Like, Krieg, Tannis, Lilith, who else? Tiny Tina and Roland as the Vault Hunters. Like, where in the timeline is this set? I do predict that it's going to have very little to do with the games at all. In fact, right, here's the thing. Here's what's going to happen. This film is going to be almost completely unrelated to the games. The only thing that's going to tie it to the games is going to be some wacky humor and the names of the characters. Outside of that, it's going to be its own self-contained story that didn't need to be linked to the games in any way, that's just using the name of the games to attempt to put people in seats. Do I think it's going to work? Probably not, no, because Borderlands isn't exactly a massive game franchise anymore. Like, but the Borderlands game is some of my favourite games ever. I went to the midnight release of Borderlands 2 back in 2012. I went to the midnight release of Borderlands the pre-sequel. I think by the time Borderlands 3 came out, midnight releases were pretty much not a thing anymore, but if it were a thing, I still would have gone. And I just don't think anybody cares anymore. Like, I'm pretty sure that Tiny Tina's wasn't very well received, the Wonderlands game. It died off pretty quickly after it came out, and nobody cared. I'm pretty sure even all of the... Well, I know for a fact, a lot of the Borderlands YouTubers moved right back to Borderlands 2, because Borderlands 2 is still the best one in the series, really. I mean, hell, I want to be proven wrong. I want to go and watch this film and really, really love it, but I just don't think it's going to play out that way, because it never does. It's one of them where films these days are way too predictable, and if I make a video on TikTok about this, people will just say that all I do is moan, but I'm just realistic. It's a case of... People on TikTok will say, you can't judge something without having played or watched it. That's not true. And in fact, if you abide by that logic, you're giving the companies your money and then disliking it, and that defeats the point entirely. For example, the people who pay to go and see Madame Web and then dislike it, too late, doesn't matter. Ooh, we got a Hornet. React Hornet, I think that might be one of the better ones. That's a cool drop to have on a video. But point is that once you've paid to go and see the film, your thoughts on the film don't matter whatsoever to the people who make the film, because all these companies care about is money. That's the only thing that matters to them. So when historically things keep coming out that you know are not going to be very good and just pander towards people that don't care, that are not going to go and watch it, again, looking at you, Madame Web, and every other film that keeps coming out that does the exact same thing, Captain Marvel, the list, basically go and watch a Critical Drinker video, anything he talks about. The best way of stopping these things from happening is don't give them money in the first place. If you don't give them money, then they stop making it. Because money is the main motivator. People forget that when they made Madame Web, when they made Borderlands, what they didn't think was, how can we appease the fans of the comics? How can we appease fans of Spider-Man or Madame Web or Borderlands or whatever? That's not what they're thinking. They're thinking, how can we use this license to get people to come and watch this and like us, because we're probably going to pander towards the current biases in media trends and woke stuff. But it's sad. I don't want Borderlands to be a fail, but it is going to be a fail, you know? I mean, here's hoping it isn't. But you know, when it comes to games that need films made of them, when it comes to stories, I don't understand why Borderlands. Like, Last of Us, as a TV show, kind of makes sense, because the story itself, again, that is a definitive story game. Most people are not playing Last of Us because of its groundbreaking gameplay. It's just another over-the-shoulder third-person shooter. You can play 1,000,001 of them. People play Last of Us primarily because they heard about how amazing the story was back when it came out. But Borderlands, it's a gameplay game. You don't play Borderlands for the story. Maybe the first time you played Borderlands 2, you played it for the story, because Borderlands 2 story is decent. But everything else, it's about the gameplay systems, the looting, the shooting, the leveling up, the building your character, the continually improving, the higher numbers. I don't understand why any of this is a thing. Why Borderlands? I'm pretty sure that this film was also made, like, years ago, pre-writer strikes, probably the big lockdown thing. I don't know if we're allowed to say that on YouTube or whether that's one of the words that'll get the video censored. I'm pretty sure that it was made ages ago. And it's one of them that's just been in, like, development hell and is finally being released. And it's just gonna flop. It just is. And the thing is, even if it is a decent enough film, it's not going to make any money because it's too niche of a product. Again, the audience really ain't there. Most people don't even go to the cinema these days. I typically go to the cinema once or twice a week. I've got an annual pass. I go all the time. I go and see things that I don't really care about because I think they're interesting. Like, I just went to see the Bob Marley film. I knew nothing about Bob Marley, but I was like, this could be interesting. And it was. But the majority of people are not going to pay like 15 to 20 quid, which is what cinema tickets near me cost, to go and see a film about a game that they might have played years ago and maybe liked a little bit. Let's be real here. Borderlands is not Last of Us. Borderlands is not Call of Duty. It's not a household name that's drawing in the masses. It's not Barbie. You know, it's just not going to make the money they want it to make. I don't understand. But yeah, I just felt the need to make a bit of a video about this. I just wanted to talk about it, and it wasn't going to suit TikTok, so here we are. I'm really pushing YouTube this year. I've got 3 different YouTube accounts in 3 different niches that I intend to talk about things on and push and build, because I'm really very sick of TikTok. It makes me very unhappy on a day-to-day basis. So trying to improve life by doing this as well as, and then eventually, hopefully, maybe, instead of. Click like and I'll see you a bit.